for years, in fact decades, that China's influence operations in America are massive. They have front groups, business associations, diaspora groups, social media, cyber operations, campaign contributions to favored candidates. We've known for years that they promote Manchurian candidates. In fact, in 2020, they had two, right? They had Joe Biden, they had Tim Walz, both of whom they had close relations with, including financial relations, for a long time. And I think very, very quickly into Trump's first term, they realized that he was moving America forward very quickly, and that he was very clear-eyed about the danger posed by China, not just strategic or military, but economic and cultural. And so he is moving forward very quickly to face that threat. And they decided to declare a kind of secret war on him, to use all of their influence operations in the United States and use all of the people, the personalities, the media people, the people in politics, the people in government, the people running Fortune 500 companies that were heavily invested in China and therefore hostage, in a sense, to the Chinese regime, to take down this guy, to take down the democratically elected president of the United States. So, yeah, this is, it was clear to me at the time, going up to the 2018 elections and beyond that to the 2020 elections, that China was engaging in this kind of stuff, because there were reports coming in from California, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York, and so forth. And they were scattered reports, and they seemed to be dismissed by the people in charge in D.C. And now we know why, don't we? We know why, because the deep state had decided that it was going to cover up China's influence operations, because it decided that the deep state, and China were, in a sense, on the same side against President Donald Trump. And now we have the beginnings of a reveal of the extent of that operation. But I think that this is just the tip of the iceberg. The president has a great sense of the dramatic. Right now, he has laid the groundwork by saying, yes, they had the information on over 200 million American citizens. They were printing driver's licenses. I think it goes well beyond that, and I think in the weeks and months to come, we're going to have more releases. We're going to have more primetime press conferences with the president talking straight to the American people himself and talking about some very interesting things. I mean, you remember back in July of 2020, he tweeted out, rigged 2020 election. Millions of mail-in ballots will be printed by foreign countries and others. It will be the scandal of our times. He said that over and over again. I think he knew 6 years ago what was going on. And now maybe finally we have the evidence in hand to show that. I think we're going to be in for a very interesting few months.
Stephen, you said there's more to come and that the president is going to speak to the American people, as he did last night, directly. I want to get your thoughts. What do you make of mainstream media, some of the big networks, CNN, NBC, ABC, not airing his speech for the American people to hear, and even going to the length, CNN had special coverage as it was going on, basically curating it, giving play-by-play. It was really sort of unfathomable to me, but what was your take on that?
Well, yeah, and then there was the other major network that as soon as the president was done talking, before the documents that he was talking about had been released, the fact checker for the network said it was false. How did they know? They haven't even seen the documents yet. And these were documents that were put together under not just Trump, but under Biden. And of course, it was the Biden administration that put tremendous pressure on the networks, not that they needed much pressure, because they were on the same side, I think, ideologically, to try to convince the American people that this had been the freest and fairest and most secure election in American history.
Yeah, right.
This is precisely the opposite of the truth. It was probably the least free and least secure election in American history. And everyone in the United States ought to be grateful to God, to President Trump, for coming back and revealing this, because I think we're talking about the future of the Republic. I think we're saving the Republic here. I think this is the most serious crisis since the Civil War, and it's very important we get to the bottom of it and deal with not just the foreign enemy, which is China, but with our domestic people who are trying to subvert our democracy.
What you laid out in your opening comments, Stephen, was essentially a full-spectrum, covert sophisticated covert influence operation. Another facet of that was the strategy to sow division inside of the United States, particularly by exploiting racial tensions. In this document, we see the approach builds from alleging, if we could pull it up, that white people hate black people, to inciting demonstrations and marches, to ultimately feeding a narrative that law enforcement is racist. We use the term on the show sometimes, Marxist playbook. You couldn't lay it out any more clearly. And
You got that right.
Come to fruition in 2020 during the George Floyd riots. Is this a wake-up call about the CCP's ability to manipulate the American people?
It certainly should be, and of course they're using the same playbook used by Lenin in the Soviet Union, used by Mao Zedong to take power in China back in the late 1940s. And here we see it being used deliberately overseas on us. And we have to simply, stand in the middle of the road and say, stop, this has to end. And we have to use whatever means at our disposal we have to use to stop this foreign interference in our elections.